Hey, how's it going? Welcome to an episode of Wing Zero Duality. And on this episode, we ask ourselves whether AI is a mirror that we may be afraid of looking into. And we're not asking whether AI is good or bad. We're not asking whether AI art is true art or fake art. We're not asking whether AI is a money-making tool by corporate entities. We're not asking whether AI is sophisticated or not. We're not asking whether AI is going to change the world. What we're asking is whether AI is a mirror that the human being, the living, breathing human being, may be afraid to look into. And we ask ourselves this because we can see for ourselves that AI is a great topic of debate, a topic which is relegated to the realm of opinion, somewhat dominated by the voices of the experts, and is being experimented with in ways that are creating questions that have never arisen before for this species. And who is this species? It's oneself. So we begin not with the precipice of knowledge, the precipice of expertise, the precipice of being someone from a vantage point so high up in society's ladder. But rather, we ask ourselves as an ordinary human being who lives on a day-to-day basis, then what we have in common is simply the question of what is thought? What is thought and why do we think? Not whether someone's thought is so profound, not whether someone's thought is so well informed, not whether someone's thought is of a particular nature that aligns with our belief system, with our opinion, with what we know, with what we care for. But rather we ask what is thought and why do we think? Is there thought that is not bound to the past? Certainly thought can conjure up a future, as in tomorrow at this time I will be awakening to go to work, or later I will have this for dinner. Certainly that is going to be part of the future, but it is still bound by the past. Where is the restaurant? Where is the job location? How will one get there, right? It's all that is bound to the past. And it appears that the human being is fitted with the capacity to gather knowledge, memory, and experience, apply it, meaning being able to analyze it, compare, contrast, right? As elementary school kids, our assignments were to utilize the technique of comparing and contrasting, and then be able to skillfully present knowledge, memory, and experience, provide knowledge, memory, and experience. And it appears that the computer is doing the same. The computer, which is fitted with the capacity to gather knowledge, memory, and experience, apply it, and send it. Okay. And yet, what is originality? Because that could be the fear of which then settles in to the human being who has always been at the forefront of all that is to be known, to be experienced. Is originality a mixture of the past? Creative writing, creative drawing, creative any kind of endeavor that involves drawing from knowledge, memory, and experience, applying it, and sending it. So we've asked ourselves whether AI is a mirror of which the human being may have fear in looking into. And we'll get to what is fear. Let's recap the questions. Is AI a mirror of which looking into may provide fear? What is thought and why do we think? Which is a useful tool, is it not, to gather what one wants between this and that, between here and there, between then and now. And then we asked ourselves, what is originality? So originality could be combined with the question of what is fear, in the form of what is the origin of fear. And fear is a common human experience. Fear requires two elements. Fear requires knowledge, and fear requires time. And so when one is in a state of fear, one knows something to be fearful of, right? And in time, such fear will come to an accord. Such is fear, is it not? And so, when the human being is confronted with a mirror, shaped by its very own knowledge, memory, and experience, because that's what AI is shaped by, its contours, its boundaries, what it is, what it knows, what it says, why it says it, is shaped by the entirety of the symbolic representation of thought that is found on the internet. And so when the human being comes to find itself, meet itself, right? Because the human being meets itself through AI, not because of the physical property of having a body, or even experiencing an emotion such as fear, but because the human being, is it not, a memory, a thought. A observer watches this video and can have a memory of the speaker. And all that has been known and experienced in terms of who the speaker has met and why is contained in memory, an image. And so ultimately all one is, in terms of oneself as a psychological self, is memory. So this mirror, which reflects back how conditioned the human being can be, how bound to the limitations of thought the human being can be, what sort of action resolves for this fear? Because if we look on the internet, we can see the fear rising, culminating, splintering, fracturing, right? Opinions, beliefs, what do you know? What do I know? What do they know? What do we know? And so on and so on. Carving out separation amongst entities of which typically would gather together to observe a piece of visual art or listen to a music soundtrack, and so on and so on. These actions have been relegated to the past, to fragments of memory which are static, which are images that are not the action of which brings about the ending of fear. is it possible to look in this mirror and have the mirror dissolve for itself? This reflection of which is in constant conflict with one's day-to-day life. Because then, perhaps, originality could come about. Not the mixture of the past in a way that's never been mixed before. No, not that. But rather the action of time and space evolving, growing, changing, moving, exploding, as oftentimes the origin of the universe is described at, although an explosion out of nowhere into nothing. So it's not quite an explosion. Something that thought cannot conjure, something that thought cannot touch, a quality of which is beyond time itself. So, whether AI is a mirror that the human has fear looking into, is a question that only one can ask and resolve for oneself.